Welcome back. It is Saturday and we have got some jobs that we want to tick off, but there has been a little bit of progress during the week. So I had a plasterer come in and plastered the plasterboard. Done all around the bay. They finished this at lunchtime on Tuesday, and that is now completely dried over the last few days. Looks really good. So this weekend's jobs, well, today's job is to cut this back to the next joist so that we can fit some plasterboard and block this hole up. And we also need to move all of this stuff out to here so that we can sand and fill this wall. So do some work on there first, and then hopefully maybe today or tomorrow get this wall sanded ready for its first coat of white this week. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this plasterboarding turned out. As you can see, the one thing that I wanted to do was maintain the reveal to the existing coving, which they've done a really good job. It is pretty much a couple of millimeters around the whole room. So yeah, really happy with that. Lots of sanding to be done. We also need to sand the ceiling because there is still some old plaster and that there. So we need to sand that smooth, get a thin coat of filler put on that, sand it, and then just put a little coat of white on there. We're not going to finish painting these rooms because the loft conversion is going to be done, and everyone that's had one has told me that they can cause damage to the ceiling. So I just want to kind of prep it ready for its final, but the walls can all be done as well. So let's start making some progress. Right, so all we're going to do at this point is where you can see there's the bump in the old coving. I'm just using that as my relatively straight line or guideline just to take us back to these laths. As you can see, I've already cut some bits, so we'll go along, do that, and then the laths at least give us something to screw to. Obviously you can see here where it was leaking around the old chimney, but that doesn't really affect what we're doing now. So yeah, let's multi-tool that out. What I'm doing is, this is a Bosch hardwood blade, but as you can see it's pretty dead, and it is perfect to not throw away and just to use it on this. So let's get cracking and do that. Right, so as you can see, I've used my multi-tool. I followed the line where the little bulge of the coving was, and we have cut all that back to the laths. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, I actually think what I'm going to do is cut this big piece. So I'm going to measure from here to here, which blocks off the most amount of space, and then from this end to that end, make it about 5 millimeters smaller. And then what we'll do is we'll screw that in place, and then we'll look at this little sliver piece. But I think because I still have some plasterboard adhesive down there, I might just dot and dab that one in there, which will be nice and easy because it can affix to the brickwork that's behind, and hopefully that will hide everything. Let's get some measuring and cut some plasterboard for this hole. And there we go, the big hole filled. So as you can see here, trimmed it all back, screwed the plasterboard to the laths that were already there. I screwed a batten behind this bit, so I was able to screw that, and then I just used the plasterboard foam at the ends, and then I've just screwed this batten on and that batten on temporarily to stop these ends pushing out. So this will hold that while that dries off. And then I just filled all the holes to try and stop as much dust coming down with expanding foam, that we can trim that back after. But yeah, I think created a nice bit of mess. But that looks so much more finished. And again, for anyone that's watching that hasn't watched the previous videos, there's going to be wardrobes across the whole of this bit, which is why I didn't get it plastered, which is why I wasn't worried about the hole. That will literally all be covered along that whole wall with wardrobes, and then our boiler is going right here next week. So yeah, not bad for a morning's work. Let that all cure up for the next hour or two, and then that will be today's job's done. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.